Wait. Hold up. Rewind that. Belcalis Almanzar. Yeah, Cardi B herself just walked off the biggest black music stage in America, snatched a whole trophy mid-performance, and then turned around and basically threw her own fans a leash. Nobody saw that plot twist coming. The girl tore the BET Awards stage to pieces, won the award while the diss was still playing. And the second she got home, she hopped on live and told the whole Barty gang to chill out on her op. And the op? She really thought a sex tape rumor was going to survive this season of Cardi. Bruh picked the wrong bull to wave a red flag at. Real quick before I get into this, if y'all want to keep eating with us on every hip-hop drama before the blogs even wake up, mash that subscribe button and beat the like up like it owe you rent. We don't do recycled takes over here. We do receipts. Okay, so for the people who just walked in, sit down, lock in, because what I'm about to walk you through is one of the cleanest one-sided KOs the rap game has handed us in years, and most of the timeline still don't understand what they just watched. Belcalis Almanzar, Cardi B, the Bronx, the loudest mouth in the building, performed her BIA diss Pretty and Petty off her album Am I the Drama at the 2026 BET Awards on June 28th, broadcast live on BET, in front of the entire culture. And it wasn't a low-key album cut moment either. It was a full medley with backup, choreography, and a wardrobe statement we're going to break down later. Mid-performance, they handed her the Best Female Hip-Hop Artist trophy right there on stage. I'm not even exaggerating. The award literally got passed into her hand while the diss bars were playing through the speakers. You can't manufacture symbolism like that. That moment is going to be on a documentary one day, mark my words. Then a few hours later, after the cameras shut off, after the after party, where every single blog was already running with the diss headline, she hopped on Instagram Live and told her fans, and I quote, "Stand down on BIA." Just like that. Did the murder, won the award, then told her fans to put the weapons down. BIA really thought baiting Cardi at the height of her album rollout was the move. That's the strategy of somebody whose advisors quit 2 albums ago. That's somebody who looked at a freight train coming down the track and said, I bet I can stand on the rail and survive this. Nah, B. Now let's pull the receipts and show you exactly how we got here. Because if you don't know the full timeline, the BET moment hits you at maybe 30% of what it actually meant. Pull up a chair. This is the part where the quotes start swinging. Receipt 1. June 2nd, 2024. BIA, born Bianca Landrau, the Boston rapper, drops a track called Sue, M-E-E, and aims it directly at Cardi. And listen, this wasn't a subliminal. This wasn't a if the shoe fits energy. This was a full name, full bar, full throat diss track with Cardi's name written in capital letters across the entire concept. The hook says it plain, got a dark soul, got a bright future. I'ma let her know I'm a sharpshooter. And then she takes it to the most disrespectful place possible. She goes at Cardi's marriage and allegedly references Cardi's children. Forbes reported it in real time. BIA accused Cardi of cheating on Offset and put the line, "Put on your hubby, since you like lying," right in the song. When I heard that the first time, I had to pause my AirPods, rewind it twice, and ask my homie if I heard that right. Bro said what? You really opened your mouth and said the words, "your kids," on a diss track? In 2024? After every rapper who tried that exact play got eaten alive by the culture? That's the dumbest flex I've ever heard. That ain't bars. That's a cry for restraining orders. The streets have rules, the unwritten ones. You don't touch nobody's kids in a verse. You don't. And the second she did, she lost the moral high ground forever. Even Cardi haters had to admit BIA crossed the line right there. And here's the part the timeline glossed over. The track didn't even chart. Let me say that louder for the people in the back. The diss track that was supposed to end Cardi's career didn't crack the Hot 100. 2 years later, when Cardi name-dropped her on Pretty and Petty, fans literally went into the comments and said the only reason they ever heard Sue, M-E-E, was because of this beef. That's wild. The diss became more famous in the aftermath of being clowned than it ever was on its own. Read that twice. Receipt 2. Cardi's Instagram Live, late May 2024, before the BIA track even dropped, where she addressed the Whisper Network rumor that allegedly started this whole thing. Revolt summed it up clean. Cardi said BIA had been telling people in the industry she had a sex tape of Cardi cheating on Offset, and Cardi said straight up that if BIA kept lying, She'd sue and BIA would have to produce the tape in court. Cardi called it fueled by hate and lies, and said BIA could be next on her defamation list. When I read this, I had to do a double take. You went around the industry whispering you had a tape? Where it then? Bring it. 2 years deep into this saga, where's the tape? Where's the leak? Where's the screenshot? Where's the receipt? Spoiler, no tape ever surfaced. Ever. Nada. Zero. Not on the gossip blogs, not in the deep corners of the internet, not on a burner Twitter account, nowhere. Which tells you everything you need to know about whether that tape ever existed in the first place. Cardi straight up offered her a lawsuit and a stage to prove it. BIA went silent. Then a week later she came back swinging on a track instead, because tracks don't require evidence. Court does. And that, my friends, is what we in the analysis game call choosing the coward's lane. Receipt 3. February 16th, 2024. Wait, let me correct the date. My notes had it slightly off. February 29th, 2024. Cardi drops the Like What freestyle. Sampling Missy Elliott's 1999 record, She's a Bitch, produced by Timbaland. BIA had used that exact same Missy/Timbaland beat the year before on I'm That Bitch featuring Timbaland. That sample is documented on Who Sampled with the receipts. BIA's whole gripe started right there. She felt Cardi was riding her wave. Real talk though? Missy and Timbaland literally signed off on Cardi using it. Missy publicly co-signed Cardi's version on X, and Timbaland, the actual producer of the original beat, gave Cardi her flowers too. So BIA was beefing over a sample she didn't even own, on a beat the actual creators publicly handed to Cardi. That's the move of somebody who's desperate for a storyline. Imagine getting mad at somebody for borrowing a book from a library, and the librarian is the one who handed it to them. That's the level of irrational we're working with here. Receipt 4. September 19th, 2025. Cardi finally answers the disrespect with Pretty and Petty on her album, Am I the Drama? And the bars are documented on Genius word for word. The line everybody screamed at, name 5 BIA songs, gun pointing to your head, bow, I'm dead. That bar right there? That's where BIA lost the plot for real. Cardi didn't just diss her. She questioned whether anybody could name 5 songs in her catalog. That's a career death certificate. And the comment sections on YouTube turned into a graveyard of fans literally trying to name 5 and failing. One comment that got tens of thousands of likes said, I'm only here so when Cardi asks me to name 3 BIA songs, or I'm dead, I can help myself. Bruh, even her fans are tapping out at 3. Wikipedia confirms the song was written by Cardi, Partisan Fontaine, and produced by DJ SwanQO and Sean Island. Cardi also went on record on Twitter, clarifying she wrote her own lyrics on Pretty and Petty, shutting down the inevitable ghostwriting talk before it could even start. Receipts on top of receipts. And let me give you the broader context. That album, Am I the Drama, didn't just drop and disappear. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with 200,000 first-week units, with 88,000 of those being pure sales and 110,000 from streaming. 200K, with 900 features on it. Cardi made history as the first female rapper ever to debut both of her first 2 albums at number 1. Let that sink in. As of recent counts, the project has now sold over 4 million total units in the U.S., and the RIA already certified it 3x Platinum. 3x Platinum. That's not just a hit album, that's a generational moment. And BIA's biggest career single, Whole Lotta Money, charted at number 16 on the Hot 100. And that was the remix, the one with Nicki Minaj carrying it. Without the Nicki feature, BIA's solo catalog has never cracked the top 40. Without the Nicki feature. So when Cardi says name 5 BIA songs, she's not even being cruel. She's stating a measurable fact you can verify on Billboard.com in under 30 seconds. Receipt 5. And this is the one that's lighting the internet up tonight. June 28th, 2026. After performing Pretty and Petty at the BET Awards in that fire red hair, Cardi went straight to IG Live. From her own mouth on that broadcast, captured by the neighborhood talk. Please don't pick on that girl. I am very big against internet bullying. If somebody not bothering me, I don't want to be the reason why somebody gets on the internet and have a bad day or get depressed. She also said, and this is the part the blogs keep skipping, I'm gonna keep performing Pretty and Petty because it's one of my hottest songs. Read that line again. Slowly. I'm gonna keep performing it. That's not a peace treaty. That's a permission slip she just gave herself to keep this song in the rotation forever. When I heard this, I was like, nah, this is different energy. This is somebody who studied the playbook. This is somebody who learned from every rap beef of the last decade and decided to write a brand new chapter. Now that we got the quotes locked, let's connect the dots, because the dots are even crazier than the quotes. Y'all didn't notice this though. Watch the dates. I must slow it down for you. That Whisper campaign started circulating in early 2024, right when Cardi was building album momentum behind, like what? That diss track? Dropped 2.5 months later, meaning BIA chose to release Sue Mee right in the window where Cardi's single was peaking. That's not coincidence. That's strategic parasite timing. Let's be clear, there's a difference between organic beef that erupts because two artists collide naturally, and engineered beef where one artist deliberately attaches themselves to a bigger artist's promo cycle to ride the algorithm. This was the second kind. Any smart person would have waited for her own moment. But BIA isn't building moments. She's chasing one. Hip-Hop Wired's full timeline lays the dominoes out plain. And anybody who watched the Pusha T versus Drake era knows, when a smaller artist swings at a bigger artist during their album cycle, the bigger artist gets free promo even if they never respond. The diss becomes marketing. Now the behind-the-scenes part nobody on the timeline is connecting. The Pretty and Petty response didn't drop in 2024 like everybody expected. Cardi sat on it for over a year. The song didn't see daylight until September 19th, 2025, on the album rollout for Am I the Drama? That's not delay, that's a setup. That's a sniper waiting for the perfect shot. Cardi held the heat until she had a #1 album shipping it. Think about how disciplined that is. She could have fired back in June 2024, could have gone on live and ripped BIA on a freestyle, could have dropped a one-off SoundCloud diss. She didn't. She waited 15 months. 15 months of silence, while BIA's fans assumed Cardi was scared. 15 months of letting the temperature drop so the response would hit harder. Complex confirms the album rollout timing and Cardi's appearance on The Breakfast Club on that exact date. That's not impulse. That's strategy. That's the difference between a rapper and a CEO with a microphone. And here's the relationship that nobody on the blogs is connecting. While BIA was over here yelling about Cardi's marriage in 2024, Cardi was in the middle of an actual real-life divorce filing from Offset. She filed for the second time in July 2024, weeks after Sue Mee dropped. So think about it. BIA went at a marriage that was already collapsing in court documents. That ain't a diss, bruh. That's kicking somebody mid-fall. That's hitting somebody when they're already on the ground filling out paperwork. Cardi confirmed she filed for divorce after 7 years of marriage. The cheating allegations on Sue Mee didn't expose anything. Cardi was already publicly separating from Offset by then. So BIA wasn't dropping a bombshell. She was reading yesterday's newspaper out loud. Then by 2025, Cardi had moved on entirely, had a whole new chapter with Stefon Diggs. They made their relationship public in May 2025 at a Boston event. Diggs rented a castle for a French vacation with her in June 2025. Cardi gave birth to her 4th child overall and first with Diggs on November 4th, 2025. Then announced it publicly on November 13th. Cardi's life was literally leveling up in real time. New man, new baby, new album, new chart record, new BET trophy. Meanwhile, BIA's whole career still revolved around being the girl who beefed with Cardi 2 years ago. That tells you everything you need to know about who's in the driver's seat and who's stuck at the bus stop. One person is collecting milestones. The other person is collecting screenshots. Detective energy. Watch the pattern carefully. Every time Cardi has a major moment, single drop, album drop, award show, BIA's name resurfaces. Not BIA's music. Just her name. That's when you know somebody doesn't have real label advisors. Because if BIA had a competent team, they would have told her, bro, every time you bring up Cardi, you give her relevance. And you give yourself nothing but a footnote. There's a reason artists with billion-dollar machines behind them don't snipe at upcoming talent. Because the math doesn't add up. The smaller artist gains visibility. The bigger artist loses nothing. It's the most lopsided trade in entertainment. So opposition did this right before Cardi's award season? Terrible timing, bruh. Predictable as a Lifetime movie. You could see the plot twist coming from 3 states away. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Now check this out. Nobody's talking about it. And I don't say that as a flex. I say it because if you scroll through every blog covering the story, Complex, Revolt, Uproxx, TMZ, all of them, none of them are doing the forensic work. They're reporting the surface. We about to go deep. Zoom into one word from that pretty and petty line. 5. Not 3. Not 10. 5. That number is forensic. In hip-hop, 5 songs is the absolute minimum threshold to be considered a recognizable artist with a catalog. That's like 1 EP worth. By daring you to name 5, Cardi wasn't just calling BIA mid. She was setting the lowest possible bar a working rapper should clear, and still implying her op can't clear it. That's a surgical bar, not a wild bar. It's a kind of bar you write when you've thought about it for 15 months. And opposition really didn't catch how clinical that was? That's embarrassing. The number was a trap. Because the second the song dropped, the entire internet immediately started trying to name 5 BIA songs as a meme, and the most common reply across every platform was whole lot of money, and then silence. The bar became its own algorithm. Cardi didn't just write a diss line. She wrote a participation challenge that recruited the entire internet to dunk on BIA for her. That's free labor. That's viral architecture. That's chess. Now zoom into one phrase from Cardi's live. She said, "If she don't mess with me, I don't want to keep messing with them." Listen to the verb tense. Keep. That's an admission that she's been actively messing with BIA up to this exact moment. It's not a peace treaty, it's a pause. It's a hunter putting the safety on, not unloading the chamber. If BIA reads that as a truce, she's going to get cooked again on the next album cycle. That's the problem with opposition. She doesn't read between the lines. There's also a power dynamic embedded in that word. Keep. Who gets to decide whether to keep going or stop going? The dominant party, not the underdog. By using that word, Cardi positioned herself as the one with the discretion to continue or end this beef. That's not a peace treaty between equals. That's a queen deciding whether or not to pardon a peasant. And the entire culture heard it that way. Even Complex framed it as Cardi keeping the beef alive even while saying she was done with it. Now zoom into one detail from the BET stage. The trophy got placed in her hand while she was performing the diss. Think about the optics of that frame. The art form rewarded the diss while the diss was happening. That's not the venue clowning BIA. That's the Academy co-signing Cardi mid-shot. Baller Alert captured that exact moment for a reason. The award wasn't on a podium 10 minutes later. It was placed in her hand during the bar. You can't script symbolism like that. And it was a deliberate choice from Cardi too. Fans on Instagram pointed out she literally pulled out her awards mid-performance and shaded BIA by holding them up while the diss bar played, asking does she even got a BET award. The award itself became part of the choreography. The hardware became part of the DISS. I've never seen a rapper turn a physical trophy into a percussion instrument in a feud before. That's a new technique she just invented. And one more, zoom into the visual choice. That fire red hair on a BET stage performing a diss track? Red is not a passive color. It's the color of war. It's the color of confidence, so loud you can see it from the back of the arena. People magazine even singled the transformation out. That wasn't a glam choice, that was a wardrobe statement. The styling team didn't pick that color by accident. Red on a black stage, performing a diss track aimed at another woman in the same lane, while accepting a trophy that one of you has and the other one doesn't. That's not styling. That's storytelling through fabric. Even the after-party fits told a story. TMZ captured Cardi at the after-party in a plunging look that signaled total dominance over the news cycle. Every single visual decision that night was about controlling the narrative. Meanwhile, opposition is at home composing a tweet. If she had half a beat, she would have noticed Cardi was telegraphing this moment for weeks. Now, let's see how the media spun this. This is the part where we hold the press accountable, Because I'm tired of these blogs treating one-sided wars like fair fights. Complex framed it as Cardi reignites the feud. Like the BET stage was the spark. Nah, the spark was in 2024. Cardi's just hitting the same fire with a flamethrower. There's a journalism technique called both sides washing, where you frame an asymmetric conflict as if both parties have equal stake. Complex did that here. They made it sound like Cardi initiated when literally every receipt, every timestamp, every genius lyric page points to BIA being the one who took the first swing. The blog headlines are doing PR for BIA whether they realize it or not. Revolt framed it as Cardi being measured and strategic, and they're closer to right, but they soft-pedaled the IG Live. Cardi didn't take the diss down. She kept it on the set list. Revolt's headline made it sound like a retreat. The live wasn't a retreat, it was a flex disguised as humility. And by the way, Revolt also has the original report on the sex tape allegation Cardi denied. So even they know BIA was the one who started this whole storyline. They have the receipt in their own archive and still chose to frame the 2026 moment like Cardi was the aggressor. That's how the media massages narratives when somebody bigger needs to be cut down to size for clicks. Uproxx framed it as a back and forth, like a real two-sided beef. But look at the receipts. One side has a Billboard #1 album that moved 200,000 first-week units, a BET Trophy mid-performance, multi-platinum certifications, and a hit song people are quoting in the comments. The other side has Sue, M.E. That's not a two-sided beef. That's a one-sided lap. That's a runner doing victory laps around somebody who fell at the starting line. Calling this a back and forth is like calling a chess match between a grandmaster and a 6-year-old a competitive game. Stop it. Read the chart positions. Look at the trophy. Watch the room. Now some people on Twitter, and I see y'all, are saying Cardi only walked it back because she's nervous about BIA dropping something new. Come on, son. Some BIA defenders are reaching trying to spin. I don't want to bully her into fear. Those are the same people who thought Sue, M.E.E. was going to end Cardi's career 2 years ago. 2 years later, Cardi's got a #1 album for kids, a new relationship with an NFL star, and a BET trophy. BIA's still posting clips of the same diss track. Tell me again, who's nervous? The media trying to spin this for opposition, but the receipts don't lie. The Billboard charts don't lie. The streaming numbers don't lie. The award podium don't lie. Only blogs lie. But here's what nobody is saying. Nah, something about this whole thing feels OFF, and I gotta say it. Lean in. This wasn't Cardi being soft. This was psychological warfare dressed up as a grown woman moment. Read the room. You perform the diss in front of the entire culture. You win the trophy while the diss is playing. Then you hop on live and tell your fans, be nice to her. You know what that does? It puts the audience on your side twice. First, as the rapper who cooked her. Second, as the bigger human who showed mercy. That's a chess move so clean it should be illegal. Opposition is playing checkers while Cardi is playing chess. And here's the kicker. Every audience member who saw the IG Live walked away thinking Cardi was the bigger person. That branding moment alone is worth more than any beef. Cardi just hit a 2-for-1. She dropped the diss and collected the moral high ground in the same news cycle. Most rappers can't pull off either one. She did both in 12 hours. And here's the part that hurts. By saying, I don't want to be the reason somebody gets depressed, Cardi did something more brutal than any bar. She pitted her. Pity is the worst thing you can hand a competitor in hip-hop. Disrespect, you can respond to. Pity, yendsU. Because the second and #1 artist says leave her alone, the entire hip-hop world hears the subtext. She ain't a threat. She's a charity case. Opposition just got dropped to a lower weight class on national television and didn't even feel the hit. It's like getting kicked out of a league by your own coach giving you a hug on the way to the bench. It's terminal kindness. It's the diss disguised as decency. And I bet money there were rooms full of label execs that night watching that live and texting each other she's done. Because they knew exactly what they were watching. Cocky prediction energy. Let me say what the blogs won't. The BIA arc as we know it is over. Not because of pretty and petty, Because of the IG Live. Bars can be answered. A diss invites a counter diss. But what BIA can't answer is being publicly deemed unworthy of the smoke. There is no counter track to leave that girl alone. If she drops one, she looks bitter. If she doesn't, she looks beat. Cardi locked her in a rhetorical box with no exits. That's not bars, that's game. Think about the moves a chess engine would suggest in that position. Every legal move loses material. Every reply makes the situation worse for the responder. That's called zugzwang in chess terms. When you have to move, but every move hurts you. Cardi put BIA in zugzwang on national TV. Now here's the industry politics layer the press won't touch. Look at the rollout pattern of every female rapper who beefed with a top-tier headliner in the last decade and came out worse on the other side. Same fingerprints. The challenger thinks beef equals visibility. But beef only works when both sides have equal media weight. When one side has a #1 album, a BET trophy, and a baby news cycle running on 3 networks, and the other side has a single diss track from 2 years ago. That ain't beef, that's tribute. Opposition became a stepping stone in Cardi's narrative. Every interview Cardi does for the rest of this album cycle, BIA's name will come up, and every mention is a free promo Cardi gets for her song. BIA is literally hosting Cardi's tour for free. Every podcast, every red carpet, every late-night TV stop, somebody's going to ask Cardi about BIA, and every time the question comes up, Cardi gets to perform humility while reminding the world she's untouchable. It's the perfect press loop. The journalist keeps the storyline alive. Cardi keeps the trophy. BIA keeps the silence. And the scariest layer? The kid's line from Sue, M.E.E. Cardi could have sued. She publicly threatened to revolt TV. She chose not to. Why? Because a lawsuit gives BIA a stage. It puts her in a courtroom next to Cardi as an equal defendant. By not suing, Cardi denied her even that. By dropping a single instead, Cardi turned the answer into royalties. Every spin of Pretty and Petty pays Cardi. Every interview about BIA pays Cardi. Cardi monetized the entire beef, and BIA didn't get a publishing split. That ain't accidental. That's the move of somebody who watched the Drake-Kendrick playbook and took notes. Remember what happened with Not Like Us? Kendrick didn't just diss Drake. He made the diss the song of the summer and collected Grammy nominations off it. Cardi just ran a smaller, female rap version of the same playbook. Pretty and Petty isn't just a diss, it's a streaming asset. Every spin is a deposit. Every TikTok using it is interest accrued. And honestly, this is where I stopped buying any version of the story that paints BIA as a fighter. She's not in a fight. She's a footnote in somebody else's victory lap. And that's the truth they won't tell you. The truth that the blogs are too scared to write because it would make the story end too early. Media needs ongoing conflict to keep clicks coming. So they keep pretending this is a two-sided war. It's not. It's been a one-sided eulogy for 2 years, and BIA's still trying to RSVP to her own funeral. The story doesn't stop there, though. Watch the next move carefully. I've mapped this out 3 different ways, and they all end the same. Path 1. The silent war path. Cardi keeps Pretty and Petty on every set list for the rest of this album cycle. She's told us that's the plan, on live, on the BET stage, everywhere. She literally said the words "one of my hottest songs" on the live, which means it's staying in rotation. So every award show, every festival, every tour stop, BIA's name gets reactivated in front of fresh audiences who didn't even know the original story. New generation of fans is going to hear Name 5 BIA songs for the first time at a Cardi concert in 2027 and immediately go Google who BIA is. The diss becomes the introduction. That's a brutal reality. When that happens, opposition is going to look desperate screaming into a void of fans who never even cared about her catalog to begin with. The silence is going to hurt opposition more than any bar could. Imagine being known to an entire generation as the girl Cardi dissed. That's not an artist identity. That's a Wikipedia footnote with a heartbeat. Path 2. The ego spiral path. The pressure on BIA to respond is going to build until something cracks. Mark this. She's going to feel forced to drop a Pretty and Petty response within the next album cycle just to prove she's still in the conversation. And when she does, she'll either come too hard and look unhinged, or too soft and look defeated. There's no middle lane. There's no perfect counter available to her. Every option loses. We saw what Cardi did from a Like What freestyle. Imagine what she does from an actual album track if Opposition poked again. Opposition is not ready for what's coming if Cardi takes the second round seriously. Cardi already has the resources, the timing discipline, the audience, the trophy, and the moral high ground. BIA would be swinging at a tank with a tweet. Path 3, the culture shift path. 5 years from now, when people are writing the history of this era of female hip-hop, this BET moment is going to get a chapter. Not because of the bars, because of the live after. That live is going to be studied like a case study in how to end a feud by refusing to keep playing it. The culture is shifting away from prolonged, messy beefs and toward clean finishers. Cardi just modeled what a clean finish looks like, and Opposition is on the wrong end of the diagram. This is going to be the moment everyone remembers as when Opposition's relevance as a Cardi rival died. The culture is moving on without her, and there's nothing she can do about it. Music journalists are already running retrospectives on Cardi's Am I the Drama rollout, and BIA is mentioned only as a side character in Cardi's larger story. Already, in real time, the historical erasure has begun. Now, the quiet, dangerous part. The Offset angle ain't done. Offset is in his own messy chapter. There's been ongoing allegations and divorce litigation drama, with Cardi even publicly saying she hopes Offset will die slow after he allegedly filed for spousal support, all of it bubbling. If any of that gets weaponized in the next few months, BIA's old Sue Mee claims about Offset suddenly become a liability for BIA, not Cardi. Because anything BIA said publicly can be pulled into a courtroom. The lawsuit threat from 2024 didn't disappear. It went into the freezer, and freezer's open. Reports also indicate Offset has appealed parts of the divorce case at higher court levels, meaning the story has more legal mileage on it. If Cardi's legal team ever decides to revisit the defamation angle, BIA's track list becomes Exhibit A. Whatever happens next, and trust, something is coming. One thing's already clear. Cardi already won this round. The BET trophy is on her shelf. The song is on every playlist. The album is platinum 3 times over Instagram. The live got more replays than the diss it was about. The baby news, the album cycle, the awards, the wardrobe, the moral high ground. Every single piece of the chessboard belongs to one side. Opposition already lost. She just hasn't been told yet. And by the time she figures it out, the culture will have already turned the page. That's how big stories end, not with a counter diss, but with a calendar quietly flipping forward while one person stays frozen in the moment they thought they were winning. So here's what I need from y'all. Drop a comment. Are you riding with Cardi for telling Barty Gang to fall back, or do you think she should have let the dogs eat? Because either way, the receipts are out, the trophy is shiny, and we got more on the way. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you don't miss what we got cooking. Because trust, what's brewing behind the scenes between Cardi, Offset, and a couple of names I'm not even ready to drop yet? You don't want to find out from anybody else. We outside. Talk soon.